YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here. Hey, just real quick, I want to say something before I jump into the battle. If you don't want to hear what I have to say, and you want to see the battle, I'll try to remember to put a timestamp in here. If not, just go ahead and slide this forward like a minute or two, and you should be able to find it. So feel free to skip me, I'm not going to be offended. Alright, for those of you who want to hear what I have to say, which this is me appreciating someone, I had sound issues apparently in my last few videos, and I didn't notice it, because when I'm recording, the game sounded normal, and when I go to edit, I don't usually sit and listen in detail to all the sound whenever I'm making an edit. Usually all I have to do is clip off a little bit of the clip up front and put on some video transitions and stuff like that, and then render it out. So I don't always notice these things because the game sound in my ears was normal. Well, fortunately for me, I had a good soul who left me a comment, and that particular soul was Brothger Legion, who said, "Hey, your sound's weird. It sounds like it's coming from a can." And I remember seeing this comment because, again, I ask you all to leave me comments and feedback, and he was kind enough to do so. And I could have just been like, "Your sound sounds like it's coming from a can," but I was like, I wonder why he says that. And I got to listening closely to the video. Sure enough, my sound sounds like it's coming from a can. And I was like, that's odd. Well, the only thing I've changed recently is my new graphics card. Graphics card shouldn't have any impact on the sound, so I went and did some testing, did some recording. Sure enough, my sound sounds like it's coming from a can, and I can't figure it out. I looked at my OBS settings, I went into the game, and Warhammer II was set to Dolby surround sound, and I was like, well, maybe that's what's causing it. I don't remember changing the sound setting, but, you know, maybe it changed. So I changed it back to stereo headphone. Still sounds distorted. I'm just like, what is going on? So then I went in and recorded with my Radeon software. I recorded a video and the sound wasn't distorted. And I was like, okay, well, the problem is definitely in OBS then, because I normally record with OBS. So I open OBS and I start thinking to myself, what have I changed? And I realized that whenever I got rid of my NVIDIA graphics card, I can no longer use RTX Voice, which was an AI sound suppression filter, essentially, that was keeping background noise out of my commentary. And then I remembered that I had put just such a filter onto my microphone that's no longer powered by NVIDIA, obviously, but those filters still exist, and I put one on my microphone, but I was curious, and so I opened up my game sound, which comes from my Arctis headset, and OBS, and went and looked at the settings, and I had accidentally put the sound suppression filter also on my headset, so that whenever I listened to it, it was normal, but when OBS took the sound in, it was suppressing sounds under a certain decibel level. And it sounds like it was in a can. So there you go. Hey, please, I wanted to thank Brothger Legion here. Thank you so much for leaving the comment. I would have sat here and continued to deliver crap quality sound in the videos had he not taken the time to comment. And that's what I'm here to ask you for. Please interact with videos. If you like them, that is the best reason to interact. Get down there, click the like button, leave me a comment, tell me what you like. A comment, talk about the topic at hand. It just takes a few minutes of your time, and it's free, and it supports the channel immensely. And if you have a critical piece of feedback, like Brothger Legion, tell me. And in this case, he saved me from uploading more videos, and for all I know, people are coming on and listening and saying, well, the sound sucks, I don't want to listen to this guy, and they just go to another video and don't leave a comment, and I'll never know. So thank you for leaving the comment, even though it was a critical comment, because it helped me fix something. Now, that's that. Appreciate you who decided to listen to this, and like I said, please interact with every video. That is one of the biggest ways you can support my channel. In any case, welcome to the Void of Hellfin. We are going to be looking at a Sub-Commanders replay from my stream that was done on Wednesday, February 2nd. February 3rd. Sorry, Wednesday, February 3rd. And I play multiplayer battles once a week on stream. This week we decided to do Sub-Commanders, which is where each player takes a role. And in this case we set up 3 roles: mainline, range, and mobility. And I'm going to slow it down because this is a fun battle, and it gets underway relatively quick, and should be a good time for all. And so I chose the mainline role for this particular battle, and I picked the Lizardmen. I've got a mix of Skinks, Bastillodon supporting Skinks, a main line of Saurus. They are supported by Croxies and Sacred Croxies, and then some backup infantry of Temple Guard. And as a good mainline-centric lord, I chose Tehinoan, because his beast is mostly an anti-infantry tool, and his solar engine or sorry, Engine of the Gods is more appropriately used against mainline infantry units, typically speaking. So I'm playing the mainline role. Now, my teammate as Clan Scryer is playing the ranged role, which is an obvious role for Skaven because they will excel at it if used properly, and he's picked Claw to lead Clan Scryer. He's got Teeth Breakers, he's got more Rattling Guns, he's got Poison Wind Mortars, he's got Warp Lock Jezzails, and he's got Warp Lightning Cannon, a couple of them. And so he has got massive ranged, and this much range from the Skaven is potentially absolutely brutal. Now, our mobility is going to be provided by the Beastmen, led by Khazrak One-Eye, and I love this pick. So Khazrak, he's got Razor Gore Chariots. This is some great mobility support to help out against infantry, but the Chariots do provide anti-armor, which, if they don't take a big charge from an anti-large unit, can still be handy at piercing through some armor. You can see the rest of the Beastmen mobility out here is some Chaos Warhounds, 3 or 4 Centigores, and a Sons of Goros Centigore, which is an armor-piercing Regiment of Renown variant. So some very, very fast-moving, albeit fairly low armor mobility support for us. Now, right off the bat, you can see our opponents here are going to be Greenskins, Dwarves, and Tomb Kings. The Tomb Kings are taking the mobility role, which is an interesting one, but don't count them out. They definitely have some great tools for being mobile. Nehekara Horsemen here, Necropolis Knights with halberds, so these are going to be some brutally effective anti-large, anti-armor. They are supported by Archon the Black on a horse. Now this is cool because he can summon skeletons. He's got the Purple Sun, Fate of Buna, again, a lot of stuff that can be very helpful in those anti-cavalry fights, right? And he's got a Necrosphinx to support as well. Dwarves are taking the ranged role. They are led by Belagar Ironhammer. He has a Master Engineer with him, and boy does he have some artillery. Back here we got a cannon and 2 organ guns. They are supported by a couple of Iron Drakes with Trollhammer torpedoes, 4 Thunderers, 4, that's right, and then a couple of Gyrocopters. Gyrocopters are kind of an interesting unit. They could probably be mobility or range. In this case, they're being used as range. And then the Miners with Blasting Charges, again, could be mainline or range. They're being used as range here in low numbers, so I felt like this was totally acceptable. The Greenskins have some Night Goblins, and then they are making up the main line with a ton of Orc Boy units, Savage Orc Biggins, a couple of Black Orcs, and then their leader is Grimgore Ironhide. He's right here. So a lot of power on the battlefield for the Orcs, and I will say this, that all factions were allowed to bring a caster, and if that caster could kind of fit into the role, then all the better. But you weren't allowed to blatantly break a role, like for instance, take the Tomb Kings as mobility and then bring Katep as your caster mounted on his artillery piece, right? So those were just kind of the basic rules. This isn't going to be a perfect schism between all the different functions, but it will work good enough. So let's hit play and jump right into things. Alright, as the battle opens up, I'm going to be using Tehenowin to put some pressure on the Miners with Blasting Charges. I don't want them to just get freebies on my Saurus Warriors, but this also opens up Tehenowin to the Organ Guns and the Cannon, and Tehenowin is going to unfortunately take some damage. The Dwarf Gyrocopters get very aggressive here, come right on top of the Warp Lock Jezzails, drop their bombs, and then start moving along. This is a huge risk for the Dwarf Gyrocopters. This is very, very dangerous for them because there is a lot of armor-piercing ammunition going through here. Not only that, Rattling Guns have a suppressed effect, which slows the units that they're shooting. You also have Harpies now chasing. And speaking of Beastmen, they've started to pull some of their units out of the woods here and come back this way. You can see the Harpies working their way back across the battlefield. Kind of an initial, small skirmish here of Night Goblin Fanatics and Miners with Blasting Charges are pretty quickly beaten back. They may have been intended as a distraction, whilst over here some Centigores are going to meet these Nehekara Horsemen head-on. I would think that the Centigores would do pretty well in that exchange, though the Chaos Warhounds took it on the chin. But you can see at this point, I'm going to slow it down for just a second, and I'm going to go up here on the overhead view and point out what's going on. So the Tomb King's mobility force is making a hard push around this void here, for which the map is named after, the Void at Helfin. So we're going to see a hard push around our right flank by the Tomb Kings player, and that kind of catches the Beastmen mobility on our side a little bit out of position. You can see they're currently right here, and they're going to have to make their way across the map in order to meet that, and this leaves our flank over here fairly vulnerable at the moment. Up front, the infantry lines are about to clash. And honestly, it should go fairly well for me, with the exception of, say, these black orc units. So let's pop down here into the regular view and let things play out. So we'll see how this goes. Grimgor is heading in. I am concerned about Grimgor's just amazing combat prowess, actually, after the last patch. He can be an absolute unit, and he needs to be dealt with. So you can see the Warplock Jezzails targeting him, and I summoned a Feral Manticore from Tehinowen to specifically come in and busy Grimgor while I engage his infantry units on more favorable terms. You can see my Saurus Warriors going head-to-head with Orc Boys. I've got my Kroxigors ready to... And I'm not leaving any holes in my line. You can see I'm plugging any gaps. I don't want any mobility to be able to get through our front lines. And so far, those engagements are going very favorably for me, especially now that I'm getting help from the Bray Shaman and the Razorgore Chariots over here. You can see these Razorgore Chariots and Khazrak putting a nice charge into the Black Orcs there. A very valuable target. But with all that going on, our flank is now being absolutely a huge threat here from the Tomb Kings. You can see that they have a wide open shot into these Poison Wind Mortars and a Warp Lightning Cannon. I don't even recognize it at this point because I've been focusing on the mainline fight, and it starts to get brought to my attention by the Skaven and by the Beastmen players here who were making sure that I was becoming aware. You can see here, in fact, that the Centaurs realize they're needed. They start to fall back a little away from this infantry. They were countercharging, and I'm just getting ready to set up and hold these. Again, now you can see the Beastmen mobility making its way across the battlefield because the assault is about to begin from the Tomb Kings, and it is going to be a hefty one. Now, a nice brass orb here by Ikit Claw will slow down a few of the units that were coming in to attack his artillery. And you can see the mainline engagement because of the help I received from the Beastmen and the artillery. My Lizardmen are holding the main line quite nicely here, and I'm going to summon another Manticore to continue to mess with Grimgor. Grimgor has had to take a lot of damage, and he is in rough shape. Now, we did lose some chariots there, but look at the damage done in the meantime to the Greenskin infantry here. There's a huge threat. I've still got Kroxigors over here. Khazrak is still there. Let's go take a look at this big fight with the Tomb Kings. It's around this point. Yeah, you can see me now moving my Temple Guards back here. I realize, oh crap, like, because my teammates were like, help, help, help. Because we were getting hit really hard by, in my opinion, a great assault here on the flank by the Tomb Kings player. So far being fairly well executed. I did get my Space Laser off here on some Black Orcs, so it does some pretty good damage for us. So fun Space Laser, another reason why I brought Tehinowen. But let's get up in here and check this out. So we've got a huge fight going on here. Necrosphinx is a massive threat to anything that's considered large, and honestly a big threat to pretty much anything, period. And you can see that the Beastmen, rather light cavalry contingent here, is being destroyed by the Tomb Kings, and there's not a whole lot that can be done about it, though some nice Warp Lightning there from Ikit to try and slow this process down. I brought my Manticore back here instead of going after Grimgor. My Temple Guards have finally arrived, and I brought Tehinowen back here to provide a little potential anti-armor support, and then the Skaven have now pointed some of their artillery in this direction. It's able to fire over the head of my Temple Guards and hit these Necropolis Knights and some of the other larger targets. You've got the Teeth Breakers here looking to knock the teeth straight out of the Necrosphinx. You see another use of Brass Orb here to try and slow. And at this point, the Tomb Kings are actually kind of falling back a little bit. So I am going to try and get Tehinowen up close and help pursue here. We don't want to let these units completely break off and get away from us. So I have Skinks, and now I've got another Temple Guard coming back because at this point, the mainline infantry fight has very much gone in our favor. I do have a couple of tough fights left. My Sacred Kroxigors are way overwhelmed here, but they're tough. They'll hold out. They've got the help of a Bastiladon. They'll hold the line here for a while. I do have some Kroxigors that got stuck with the Crimson Killas over here, but that should trade fairly nice for me. And then we're just kind of keeping Grimgor out of our artillery using some of our last remaining Saurus units. So I figured we could have the Temple Guard stay and help us. And because of this, I am able to pour some more support in. Some regrouped Beastmen units come back and help me. Tehinowen helps to hold the attention of the Tomb Kings momentarily. You can see here some Rattling Guns were lost, and so the Tomb King player still very ferociously attacking this flank. But now there is a good deal of infantry support nearby, and there are also multiple artillery units pouring in fire from near point-blank range. I used Tehinowen, like I said, just momentarily to kind of help hold that fight down. And now it is starting to come into our favor. You can see these Temple Guards got a hold of the Necropolis Knights and won't let them go. And the Necrosphinx is now taking big damage. But even this fight right here is still a big problem the Beastmen because you got Terror here, and these are some very tough units the Beastmen are fighting. So Kazrak and his chariots probably going to need some help, and I keep waffling, on whether I should have Tehennawin be back here or help elsewhere. And so I kind of keep changing my mind with Tehennawin, and I honestly should just commit to one or the other. You see again, Kroxigor is held out fairly long over here. The Dwarf Artillery in the back is still mostly untouched and just firing away at anything it can shoot at. And it has done some pretty significant damage, but our Skaven Artillery is still mostly in place as well, which for us is going to be very good here. The Tomb Kings are starting to be a little worse for wear. They did manage to rout Kazrak's forces, so again, I'm going to bring Tehennawin back, although it's a little too late to help Kazrak in some respects. But I am here. Archon is going to end up getting chased by skinks and shot by rattling guns, so he is now in some massive danger, and the rattling guns and Jezzails kill him, or re-kill him, however you want to say that, because he was already undead. And Tehennawin and Kazrak managed to kill the Sphinx, and then get the last few Necropolis Knights hemmed in where they can't get away. And so we are going to finally defeat what I thought was honestly a pretty excellent assault on our flank by the Tomb Kings. And this massive battle, absolutely tons of fun here. So this was large funds for each player, but like I said, each one of us representing a certain class. And it makes it fun because you can pick all these different factions and combine their strengths, try and overcome their weaknesses, stuff like that. So like Skaven are terrible mainline for the most part, but they're great at range or monster support. So it kind of lets each faction shine at what they do best, and it's a fun way to play the game. It also lets the players try and focus on one aspect of the game. Now, that doesn't mean they won't have their attention drawn to multiple parts of the battlefield and still create some challenges for micromanaging, but it just means that you're definitely going to get some challenge in that regard. Look at this, the blood-forged armor here. Grimgor's still fighting on. This guy got picked on majorly earlier, and he is still alive and kicking over here, so he is a tough nut to crack. We do have the Master Engineer who came up for melee. And like I said, back here, just some Iron Drakes and some pretty battered artillery is all that's left. The Skaven did some very nice work with the artillery for us, so our team very much in appreciation of what the Skaven did. And then, of course, I'm very grateful that our teammate with the Beastmen here was able to also help hold this flanking long enough for me to finally realize what was going on and go support the flank. So without them, we may have gotten completely overwhelmed by the Tomb Kings, because I was definitely caught off guard on that one. You're going to see Grimgor getting chased down now by Kazrak, so likely a rather disgraceful death imminent for Grimgor. So despite being bigger and larger, he's just not going to like fighting a chariot, though. I mean, look at the hits he put on Kazrak after that charge. Grimgor, he didn't get knocked down from that charge either, like staggered. So the Trollhammer torpedoes are caught by my Temple Guards. They'll be cut to pieces. There are, like I said, just a few units back here along with Belagar Ironhammer, but they are all going to be chain routing despite the legendary dwarf leadership levels. And that was a brutal and bloody, fun battle. This is the kind of battles that I love in Total War Warhammer 2. If you also like playing battles like this, guess what? You should join my Discord, be a part of the community, and come play these battles with us. Now, you don't have to join the Discord, but it helps if you want to be notified about when I'm going to be streaming. You want to look into multiplayer. You want to learn more about multiplayer. Like last night, one of the folks that came and joined us was basically brand new, and he was on my team for one of the battles. We don't care if you're new. Come learn. And that Discord's a great place for you to come learn in a friendly environment where you're not going to be made fun of. You're going to be helped. And so definitely come join us in the Discord. We'd love to have you there. Take a look at my units as far as what did the best for me. I got some decent value out of these Kroxigors here. A lot of raw damage dealt. My Saros Warriors had a pretty decent showing. And then they weren't anywhere near dead. So even though they haven't quote-unquote paid for themselves, my Temple Guard definitely got some big value for me here. And Tehennawin, pretty so-so, honestly, with Tehennawin. I didn't do a great job with him. The Short-Ended Straw, who was our Ikit Claw player, and thank you for being a part of the team, did a great job with his artillery. Long range with the Warp Lightning Cannons, anti-infantry with the Poison Wind Mortars, anti-large with Jezzails and the Rattling Guns. I mean, this is a fantastic combination of units. And the Short-Ended Straw just, like I said, did a great job overall. I mean, some of these Jezzails were dealing lots of raw damage. There was one unit in here, though. Yeah, this one right here. Look at the Teeth Breakers. These guys were definitely breaking teeth and taking names. That was pretty impressive. And then Shetland Apache, thank you for pulling up the Beastmen. Beastmen are a cool choice for mobility. They are a lighter, a lighter choice in terms of armor, but they are very fast, and they have a lot of interesting mobility options. They have the chariots, they have the Razor Gore herds, they have Centaurs with great weapons, Centaurs with throwing axes, Warhounds, Poison Warhounds, Harpies, you name it. So the Beastmen definitely are a fun choice, I think, for that mobility role. And Shetland Apache did a great job of kind of being all over the battlefield, doing damage to the Black Orcs, and really helping to hold off YMMN, who had an amazing flank attack with his Tomb Kings. And I mean, if we just take a look here, Archon did a pretty good job. The Sphinx and these Necropolis Knights were definitely dishing out some serious damage. So that flank attack from YMMN was fantastic. And then Enoria's here, I can't say it right, so I apologize. The Grimgore attack, poor Grimgore was getting picked on, and his infantry got picked on a lot. But overall, I mean, you saw the end of the fight. Yeah, I had a couple of Temple Guards alive, but not a whole lot else in terms of my infantry. My infantry did take a good savaging at the hands of the Dwarves and the Greenskins here. So, well, and look at Grimgore here again. Like I said, despite getting picked on by a bunch of units that he didn't really want to fight, he still managed to dish out quite a lot of damage. So an impressive performance there. And then Ordance, I think his cannon, his cannon did a great job here in terms of value and damage. And this is the Kill Scribe on our channel, by the way. His gyrocopters came in a bit early, and I felt like his Iron Drakes never really were able to get close enough to any of the fights with the targets that they really needed to fight. They sat back, and so they weren't really able to get in there. Some of the Thunderers, looks like they got wrecked by artillery, though a couple of them managed to get some damage done while it was moving through there. But fun stuff. Hope you all enjoyed this battle. I appreciate all the folks here. So Short End of Straw, Shetland Apache, YMMN, Enorias, and Killscribe or Ordance here. So definitely appreciate all of them joining in. And we had a big stream last night. There was over 200 people there live at any given time. Had no problem filling all the games. So thank you to everybody who participated. If you enjoyed watching this video today, make sure and go click that thumbs up. Just takes a second. Go leave a comment. What did you like about the battle? What did you not like? What would you have picked? Do you like playing sub-commanders? Do you have another game type you think we should play on the stream? Go leave some comments with some feedback and some thoughts. Definitely helps support me and appreciate it. Hey, and if you have anything critical, like I pointed out at the beginning of this, and it's when I say critical, preferably when you're, pointing out something that I can go fix and be helpful with, right? Like, so, hey, your sound isn't good. Yeah. Thanks. I don't want to leave it that way. That was some fantastic critical feedback. If there's other critical feedback, let me know. I'll read it and take it into account. I do read all the comments that you all send through. So anyway, HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I will see you all soon with some more action in Total War.